for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
That's right, it's all about you, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle, so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way that we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you like to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out using the hashtag up here down below or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner broker of Sold by Skip Real Estate here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage lender.
Now, you probably remember Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team, but he's absolutely crushing it now in the mortgage space.
And you've seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters, and he's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the nation. Nailed it.
Thank you for that intro. Once again, you're getting close. You're getting better at it. Great show today. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're going to jump into the Mortgage Minute, talk about some things that you may not know, or dive a little bit deeper into some things that you should be knowing, especially if you are entertaining the housing market this year. Plus, we're joined by former UNM baseball coach Ray Birmingham, who's an absolute celebrity in town. Everybody knows him. You know, I have childhood friends whose parents have showed up, and all of a sudden there's Ray Birmingham's at the house because he knows everybody. He's shaking hands and kissing babies at all times.
Yeah, so we got a Skip and we got a Skipper on stage. It's the end of my baseball jokes. I don't have that many.
It's not a joke. So a lot of people ask me, why is your name Skip?
Is this real?
This is a real story. So, my dad was a baseball player, and when you're playing baseball, the manager...
Pump his tires more. Keep going.
Okay, what, my dad?
Yes.
Let's talk about it. My dad, second overall pick, A's, Twins, and Cubs, major leaguer, faced Nolan Ryan, all those things. So he knows what he's talking about. But on the baseball team, the manager of the baseball team is known as the skipper of the team. So you never call him, hey, coach, hey, manager. You just call him Skip. And so my dad thought it would be fun to name his kid Skip.
There's a lot of secrets about him, and we're going to expose them on this show.
But yeah, so Skippy Peanut Butter, that's me growing up. Appreciate it, Pop.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about what we do over the weekend. Let's go.
Let's go.
You want me to go?
You want me to go?
Okay, I'll go. Okay, so I studied alpacas. So I want to have. And I make this joke. It's an ongoing joke. People would say, Grant, so what are you going to do next? It's hockey for so long. And I said, it would be not unlikely for me to have an alpaca farm. And I've been researching it, and I think I want a few. Let me ask you this, Skip. Do you know how many colors alpacas come in?
Is this an alpaca? Is this what they look like? Is this what your whole addiction is? No, I don't know how many colors alpaca.
22, Skip. Gosh, what do alpacas eat? Oh, I got this. They eat tree bark, they eat grass, and they eat like wood that's kind of
sounds like a Harvey. It'd be perfect for you.
Or a beaver, yeah. What did you do?
Nothing. I read up on things going around the city, some current events, some important things to talk about since we're a real estate-based show and not farm animals. Let's chat a little bit about short-term rentals here in Albuquerque. Short-term rentals are on the chopping block here in Albuquerque. The city council is moving to put a ban or a limit on the amount of short-term rentals here in town.
Yep.
Kind of trying to, I guess the argument for getting rid of short-term rentals is to create more housing or force more affordable housing to come back on the market. If you've been trying to rent houses or buy houses recently, you know that there's just not enough housing to go around. So one thought would be if we get rid of short-term rentals, one thought would be if we get more government, if we could get government to step in and tell us how to handle our private
please,
properties.
more laws. Yeah. You guys have handled it so well in the past. Something clever is Congress the opposite of progress? Just doing that.
Look that up. But so the measure would basically ban or put a limit on short-term rentals here in town. Now, a short-term rental is categorized as any rental dwelling that's rented for 29 days or less.
Okay.
So if you're doing a furnished short-term rental for 3 to 6 months, that's fine. But as of right now, the city does require that you have a permit. So you asked what I did. Okay, I'll talk more about permits. Permits cost $120 for the first year to get a short-term rental. Why am I so passionate about this? Because I worked and I saved to get my own short-term rental, and
Yeah.
now the city is telling me that, as part of the ordinance, everyone's capped out at maximum of three. So, in the event you were looking to get into the short-term rental market, you may want to jump into it now. And if you want to see what that looks like, or you have questions on financing,
Right.
talk to Grant.
I was actually looking into that. I was pursuing a rental property off of Tramway, and to pursue the traveling nurses. That's a new economy that's been created as traveling nurses stay up for 91 days, and so that's kind of good. But I'm sorry about your business model. It can be pretty devastating if you're investing based on that. So
Yeah, well, the thing is that I think the city did a study, and there's only something like 600 of the active short-term rentals here in town have paid the permit fee. But what they did is they went on the website and figured out how many Airbnbs and VRBOs there are. Can I get a sip of that?
yeah. Exposing my
Exposing my J. And what they found out is that there's currently about 1,200 if you add 1,200 that are not permitted and 600 that have been permitted. So they're going to cap it at 1,200. So you're grandfathered in pretty much if you have one existing now. Talk a little bit about financing when it comes to investment properties. There's certain terms that get thrown around a lot when it comes to real estate, investing and financing. And for newbies, it can be a little confusing.
Yeah, well, I guess that brings on our
Mortgage Minute.
So what Skip touched on today, I'm going to coalesce the two ideas here. So I wanted to talk about loan terms, and when people say loan terms in lending, it means the amount of years you'll be amortizing your mortgage. They can be as aggressive as 40 years, 30 is standard, 20 can be aggressive, 15 and 10. What are the advantages of doing a shorter term amortization? A cheaper rate. So the banks want to incentivize you for getting rid of the payment faster, and so your interest rate should be maybe 0.5% lower if you went from like a 30 to a 15, and even a 10. 10s are aggressive, almost unheard of. So why would anyone pick a 30-year over a 15? Well, affordability. So a 15-year mortgage may cost you $700-800 more than your 30-year, and you frankly may not be able to afford it. The caveat of that is, let's say that things get a little bit tight for you on a monthly basis. Well, you've committed yourself to a 15-year payback. A 30-year will give you the luxury of having to be, performing at a slower rate for payback. So your mortgage payment would be lower, and that's all you'd commit yourself to. But you'd have the liberty of paying more per month. When it comes to investment properties, I'll give you a little trivia here. Fannie Mae has said they want no more than 9% of their portfolio to be investment process. So you have to pay a lot of your points up front and not have a higher rate like it used to be. So there's a lot to throw at you. If you wanted to get some details about investment properties or the different pricing for terms, 15, 30, contact a lender and we'll help you out. And that concludes our Mortgage Minute.
Dude, mortgages are pretty fun to talk about, bro.
Why do you think I have on my Google glasses?
Yeah, he's just reading the script behind his Google glass. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Coming up in the next segment, we have an Albuquerque legend when it comes to sports athletics. UNM baseball coach Ray Birmingham is going to talk about his climb, from high school all the way up to junior college to coaching in the JUCO World Series up to University of New Mexico Lobos. What it takes to recruit and keep everybody happy
it's
here in Albuquerque.
something we had the same roots. I'm glad that he actually he made it to the top here, but we shared a lot of stories about how it's rough to be a starting coach. So I can't wait for this interview. It's going to be
Yeah, we'll be good. And then stay tuned to the end of the show. I can't believe I forgot to mention this at the top of the hour, but you guys already had it in the back of your mind, so let's just chat on it. Coming up in segment 3, you're going to want to stay tuned for Skip's Tips. So stay tuned. Welcome back to UABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
And Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage, back.
So in this segment, we always like to bring on guests to the show. And we're joined today by Ray Birmingham, who is the former New Mexico Lobos head baseball coach. And just a huge celebrity in town, does a ton to raise money for certain causes, children's cancer, ALS. Ton of fun stories and just a good, and I'm just glad to have a baseball player finally. I'm tired of this lughead over here talking about hockey. Hockey and llamas, what do you like? What's your alpacas?
Yeah, your short-term memory is really failing you. You would think that you had concussion syndrome. Yeah. Who are you? What show is this?
So let's welcome to the show Ray Birmingham. So, Coach, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I mean, look, you're a big presence, you're a big guy, and a big guest to the show. So we appreciate you stopping by.
No, you guys are fun.
Yes. Well, we have a pedigreed guy here. So I knew who Ray was, of course, before he knew who I was, right? And so I was just a big fan of what I like to talk about being remembered and legacy. And I think that he epitomizes what it's like to leave a legacy in many different cities and many different facets. So I don't know where to start. Let's talk about the beginnings of Hobbs, right?
Yeah, New Mexico kid, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, and look, New Mexico has traditionally always been oil and gas state, right? That's our bread and butter for generating money, and that's kind of what brought you and your family to the town when you were just a kid.
Yeah, my dad came from Arkansas looking for work and went to work in the oil patch of Hobbs, New Mexico, and stayed.
Yeah, so a lot of people, if you haven't spent much time in Hobbs, New Mexico, it's God's country down there. I mean, what do you got? Pump jacks and cows, right? I don't even know.
They have a rusty gym that's still open. I went to there. I actually like rusty weights.
Me too. It's oil and gas. It's hardworking people, and it looks like Mars.
Yeah, as most of New Mexico does. I mean, there's tumbleweeds and hardworking folks.
Until you get to Albuquerque, then it's
it's green and
green
plush.
acres.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know this. So while you were the head baseball coach here for the Lobos, previously you coached other sports. I mean, talk about how you got started in athletics.
I coached for 43 years in the state of New Mexico, and I always wanted to coach or be a sports writer, so something along sports. Mm-hmm. So I went to New Mexico State, got a journalism degree, and Mayfield High School hired me right after that, right after I graduated, almost immediately. And I had jobs in Texas, but they wanted a football coach who did part-time baseball, and I wanted to do baseball full-time and football part-time. So there's two sports in Texas.
Yeah.
Fall and spring football.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was going to say. And so great. I mean, you know a little bit about coaching. It's a full-time gig, and so it's tough to go part-time in one sport, part-time in another sport, because you really had to pour your heart into one.
Yeah, and what made me fascinated with Ray's story was the beginnings of his coaching was working near for free, patching things up that needed to be patched, having your passion take over where your income falls short, having to figure out a way and problem solve with your passion and willpower, how to make things that just come up short with funding. So tell us about the beginning of where you were doing multiple sports, but also how you get a ragtag team and without an unprecedented team going on. Like you took on something that was raw and from scratch. So
I did that everywhere I went.
Right.
I never took the turnkey job. I don't know. That's a sickness. I've gone to a psychiatrist and he's tried to help me, but I don't know. I like the challenge. I like to try to turn nothing into something. And so Mayfield High School was that. I looked at our practice facility and went, oh dear Lord. And so we did there. We won a state championship, and then I moved on to New Mexico Junior College. And then there, I was just going to be public relations because my wife at that time said, "You're working too much. You're Grant Harvey. You're too passionate about your sport." So I went over to take a picture of the basketball team because I was going to make a sports program for all the athletic programs at New Mexico Junior College, and I was going to be out of coaching, and I went over to take a picture, and the guys were kind of messing around. And they wouldn't get, I had chairs lined up, the typical basketball photo, right? Sitting in the chairs, everybody's right. And I ripped them a new one. I mean, I got way deep into them. And they all settled down. They didn't like me, but we got the picture taken. I go back across campus, sit down in my office, AD calls me. He says, "Hey, I heard you chewed out the basketball team, and you were pretty ruthless about it." "Yes, sir." He said, "I need to come over, I need to talk to you." I said, "Oh, dear God." So I went over there. He said, "Hey, we need a guy like you to coach basketball. You know anything about basketball?" I go, nope. And he goes, well, I'll give you $5,000 a year if you'll be assistant basketball coach. I said, I'll take it. We're in.
Yeah, I'll become fluent by tomorrow. Yeah. I also can appreciate you taking on something where people like to say, well, that can never be done. That we don't have the money for that. That's the way it's always been. And you didn't take no for an answer.
You know what? I kind of did my own deal, man. I didn't wait for anybody to help me. I didn't go ask the administration, like, you didn't do this for me. I'm not that guy. Neither are you.
Yeah.
And so you just go do it yourself.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is going to do it.
Right.
Especially when you're considered a minor sport. And I was pretty proud of the fact that by the time I finished, UNM baseball was a major sport.
Right. Let's talk about the climb, and I don't want you to have to overlook any part of that. Let's talk about the journey, about how you got to UNM. So let's go baseball.
Well, I was coaching New Mexico Junior College, and that was one of those. We don't have a field, we don't have any money, but would you like to come coach baseball? Well, I was coaching at College of the Southwest before that. Let's go back. Coaching basketball at New Mexico Junior College, we're the #1 team in the country now, and we're kicking butt, and. They tried to start baseball at College of Southwest, and it failed terribly. And the president at the time called me and said, hey, could you use a $10,000 raise? We need a baseball coach. And they were bad. It was a bad situation. And I said, I could use $10,000. I said, yes, sir. So I went over there. We got the top 25 in the country. We were 21 or 22 in the country.
Wow.
And we played DBU to go to the national tournament, and they beat us in the bottom of the 10th. Threw a ball away. So
we can all remember those,
oh,
right?
Man.
It's like every coach goes, and we almost had them, but
I mentioned it on a video a couple weeks ago, and one of the guy that threw it away called me and still apologizing.
He should still feel sorry.
He's still running polls, right?
He's still laying in bed. So then I left College of Southwest. The president of Mexico Junior College said, hey, can you come over here and do this? I said, I might could. And he goes, $10,000 raise. I said, see you in the morning.
Yeah, I was just there, but okay, if you need me to keep jumping around. Yeah.
$20,000 swing and pay in 2 years.
Right.
And then we did well at New Mexico Junior College, and we built a baseball field and blah, 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 blah. And I was going to retire and go make some good money so that I wasn't, homeless. And the AD at New Mexico called me. We just got back from the national championship game in junior college. And he called me and said, are you interested in this job? I never really thought about it. I said, I might be. And he said, would you come up and talk to me about it? And so I did. And I was leaving town after the interview. And they said, the job's yours if you want it. And I said, I'll let you know. And then I had another job that was very lucrative in sales. And I went, oh, dear Lord, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And passion gets us, doesn't it, Grant?
It's nuts what you entertain when you're hungry, and I think sometimes making a good living can kind of kill what you were supposed to do or what was serendipitous. And I think that coming from meager beginnings causes you to jump into something you wouldn't have normally done. And I kind of like that you came from meager beginnings, because this is how you came to be here. This show, no, but to be the baseball manager of UNM is, I mean, that's how you got here. Was that hunger and that drive. And once you get satisfied and you're not so hungry, your crazy ideas stop. And so I'm glad your crazy ideas didn't stop.
It's a passion thing, man.
Yeah.
I got a $5,000 raise to come to you.
Yeah, well, he keeps getting he's bankrolling. Yeah, he's a monopoly man now.
I went straight to Walmart and spent it.
So we want to talk about this: 4 Mountain West championships, 3 tournament championships. I know I'm missing a ton of accolades. You were coach of manager of the year several times. I mean, I know you probably are humble and you won't list them all, but he has the rap sheet goes on and on. He has a huge resume.
But when you do things for other people,
yeah.
And my passion was New Mexico kids.
Yeah.
He's one of them.
Yeah.
I tried to recruit him, and they said, you got no shot. And I said, okay, bye.
Well, he couldn't read. His SATs, he couldn't read the SAT test, so he wouldn't have made it to any college.
Yeah.
There were a lot of La Cueva kids, Albuquerque kids I tried to recruit. I recruited South America, the Caribbean, and so you're trying to do it because when I was a high school baseball player in New Mexico, our state championship was behind somebody's school. And then when we were winning the state championships at Mayfield, it was at Ricketts, and Ricketts didn't look like it looks now.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked bad.
Right.
And so I go, this isn't fair. Basketball players play in a pit. But baseball guys, they just got to find a place to go play.
Parking lot, tumbleweeds.
Yeah, and you know, I said, by golly, there's a lot of baseball players in this state, and I want to prove it, and I want to build a ballpark that they go. I want them to say, I played at Santa Ana Starfield.
Yeah, you look good, you play good type of thing. It's a sense of belonging, right? And you want to say like, hey, I'm proud of my university. I want my university to be proud of me too. That's kind of the dialogue that I feel like I've had before, and you approved it. I mean, the baseball park now, it's a gorgeous place to be and to watch. And you knew the difference when it didn't look like that. There's a lot of people who don't know the difference.
Call Jordan Pacheco, he'll tell you.
Yeah. I want to talk about, there was a facet, we went to lunch, and man, I got about 8 years of stories, and that wasn't enough in about 2 hours, but you doing a selfless act, you bought a bunch of bicycles for kids. Let's talk about that story.
Well, part of New Mexico for me is I had a lot of compassion for Native American kids. And they're the ones that gave me the money. They just offered it because I'd already put my best foot forward, not with that in mind. It just happened.
Yeah.
And so I would have camps for them, and they would come, and I mean, I love them. I'm loving them up, and we're playing baseball, and they don't care. And then they eat pizza after, and they go home. So the second time they came in a people carrier, and I said, these kids don't have anything. So I went to a pawn shop and bought a bunch of bikes, and they gave them to me. I told them what I was doing. They said, pick any bike you want, $5 a bike. Man, I was holding them. They didn't work for the kids to sit. So they took the bikes back to the reservation, and they called me and said, we got a problem. I go, what? They're fighting over the bikes. I go, okay. So those are the things. I mean, if you make your life about somebody else and not yourself, it gets better.
Right, and in return, so I would. What's the saying that you can measure the merit of a man by the way he treats people that can do nothing for him? And when you carry yourself like that, you get paid tenfold, and it's not for that reason.
It's true,
but it happens. And I can remember there were kids that I would coach when they were 5, and they come up and hey, I remember you. You used to yell, catch a pass, but I remember you, Grant, and you go, that's great. You have this testimonial back. It fills the tank again, and it doesn't have to mean anything monetarily, but it's just nice to go, oh, I did leave an impact, and you certainly left an impact times 1,000 of any story I have. So, what didn't you have you had an interesting question for him, didn't you?
No, but I was just going to say, and what we respect about it is a lot of people, get into coaching and you think, God, you work so hard on the field, and the stuff on the field is not work. That's the fun stuff. And what I respect about you guys is all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes, dealing with the administration, trying to raise money, trying to leave a legacy and turn nothing into something so that you can walk away. And to speak to that, I mean, let's chat a little bit about that ring too, because I think that's legacy.
I should have wore sunglasses here.
Oh man, people have been good to me in this town, and if you give them your love, they'll give it back. Yeah. And if you do it over time, and you're unselfish about it, as it happened for everybody that did the same thing, And there's a lot of good people. I mean, there's a lot of good baseball coaches that have been in this town. There's a lot of good football, basketball, good people. And I just remember the solid every day. They never left. They're never transient. The people that lived here their whole life, man, they're pretty good people.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you what that ring is, because he's too humble of a guy. That's 1,000 wins. Okay. And the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame. The list grows and grows. Here's what we like to do too. You've been all over the world. You were coaching in China and Canada. And we could talk about the Canada pipeline all the time, but he likes Canadians. This is Ray and I are really. But you've been all over the world. What makes New Mexico and Albuquerque and southern Albuquerque, why do you call it your home? What is it that we have that other places don't have?
First of all, you can't buy weather. You can't buy weather. You can go wherever you want. You can't buy weather. And the weather here is impeccable. And the scenery within a 45-minute drive is unbelievable. And, those things. And I think it's a hidden gem. I think Albuquerque is going to blow up. I think it's a hidden gem. I think a lot's going to happen. I live in Mesa del Sol, and it's blowing up out there because people know this should be a retirement haven for a lot of people, baby boomers especially.
You could speak to that. There was big plans.
There's always been big plans for Mesa del Sol, and it's great to see. And you and I were chatting about this, but it's great to see the earth they're really turning and burning there. They've got multiple builders building new homes, which is something that Albuquerque needs, and we touched on that in the beginning of the episode, is we just need more houses. What's been your experience living in Mesa del Sol, and tell us what makes that neighborhood, that cluster-style housing, different from anywhere else in the city?
It's removed. It's removed. It's quiet. And it's out of the way for shopping, obviously, but it's quiet. It's like its own little entity in Albuquerque, but away from Albuquerque. And it's the Manzano Mountains are right there, and the Sandias are right there. Netflix is. You should have seen the movie stars I've seen while I do my walk.
Besides yourself.
Yeah, not me. But I go by and I go, was that? Holy smoke!
That was that guy.
And so it's a really cool place, and Steve Chavez has done a great job of developing it. Yeah, I admire him. He's a Grants boy, and he's done well.
Yeah, and so we always like to highlight, just the best of Albuquerque, and I think with Mesa del Sol, the different type of neighborhood and the feel that it has there. So we thank you for bringing that to the UABQ. We thank you for everything that you've done for the state of New Mexico, for the university, and really doing a good job of putting us on the map, because a lot of places, you look around, Denver, Dallas, Phoenix have all exploded exponentially. They have tons of money coming in, and I like to think that our state is homegrown, and that's kind of the purpose of UABQ, is to show.
Yes, I feel like this was a grassroots organic thing, and from Lobo to Lobo, man. I really appreciate you. I think you've made our university just another.
Well, you guys are examples of, I love the state, I love these people, I love where I live, I'm proud of who we are. And like you, I wanted to give them an attitude like, oh yeah, you think we can beat you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, well, we got to get to our next segment. Ray, thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
I love having you on here. Yes.
Appreciate you, sir.
Shortstop, right here, baby.
Yeah. We're gonna have links to Ray's favorite charities, the ALS Foundation, and Children's Cancer of New Mexico as well. So if you guys want to log in, donate, and just kind of see what's going on in that type of community and how you can give back. But coming up in the next segment, and here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. I can't believe I got to tell you this again. It's time for Skip's Tips. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to UABQ. Man, that was a good segment with Ray. Could have had 3 more segments with him. Just a funny, nice, legendary guy here. Speaking of legends, let's get right into Skip's Tips.
It's time for Skip's Tips. Skip's Tips are anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. So, as the market shifts a little bit, we're seeing home prices continue to go up, but also we're seeing homes sit on the market a little bit longer. Now, where we were seeing 15 offers or more on each property, now we're seeing maybe 1 or 2. So one question that I've been getting from buyers when I'm showing properties is, Skip, this house looks amazing. I feel like it's staged, it shows well, but what's the deal? Why has it been on the market for so long? Why isn't it selling? And I'll let you in on a little secret here. It's the price. It's always the price, right? In this market, there's so much demand that if the home is not selling, it's probably because the seller has an unrealistic idea of what their property is worth. So if you're having any thoughts of selling your home this year, make sure you do a complete market analysis so you understand how not to overprice your house, because there's nothing worse than a home that sits on the market for far too long. Hold on, there's one more tip I wanted to throw in there. So if the seller is stuck on that price, then it's definitely not gonna entice. Let's do that one again. Hey, if the price doesn't entice, then the property won't sell. What was I trying to say there? Hold on. Keep it rolling. I got this. Oh, okay. Let's do this one. So if the home is not selling, then it's the price that's not compelling. Hey, if you like this tip, you like that one? Hey, we got to laugh out front, okay? We're going to keep it rolling here. So if you like this tip, even just a bit, send it to your friends, because that's Skip's Tips.
You may have seen Skip in his other Dr. Seuss story reading. It comes on after the show. That was really a nice limerick. if you will.
Limerick.
I barely.
Great show today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, special guest Ray Birmingham. It's always a pleasure having him around. Just,
Long-time Lobo.
there's so many Lobos in here. I feel like there should be, a dog kennel.
Woof, woof, woof.
We'll stay into. Okay, so we come on Wednesday nights, and then we'll see you again on Sunday mornings. Thanks again for tuning in.
Sunday, 9 a.m.
This
Wednesday, 7 p.m. Oh.
is all about you, ABQ.